Boeing 737 MAX. In 2018, a brand new Boeing crashed 13 minutes after takeoff in Indonesia, killing 189 people. The plane's automated flight system, MCAS, activated on a single faulty sensor and shoved the nose down while the pilots fought it. Boeing told airlines MCAS wasn't important enough to mention in training manuals. 5 months later, an Ethiopian Airlines flight did the exact same thing. 157 more dead. Boeing had a fix ready before the second crash, a software update their engineers finished in weeks. But pushing it out would have meant admitting the first one was their fault. A flight ticket costs a few $100s. Boeing's 20-month grounding cost $20 billion, enough to buy every passenger on both flights a private island. The popular narrative is that the pilots were undertrained. They weren't. MCAS wasn't in their manuals because Boeing excluded it to avoid new certification requirements. Boeing's marketing slogan during this period was building something better. The cost-saving feature that was supposed to eliminate simulator training ended up costing $20 billion and 346 lives. Boeing paid $2.5 billion in settlements. The families of 346 people split $500 million. Boeing's CEO kept his job for 8 more months. Samsung Galaxy Note 7. In August of 2016, Samsung's flagship phone started catching fire in people's pockets, on nightstands, during charging. Samsung recalled 2.5 million units, blamed their battery supplier, and shipped replacements. Then, the replacements caught fire too. One on a Southwest Airlines flight, one in a 13-year-old's hands. Samsung killed the entire product line. The FAA banned the Note 7 from all commercial flights, adding it to the same pre-flight safety category as lithium battery fires and explosive materials. 3.1 million devices recalled in total. A single Note 7 cost $850. Samsung destroyed 3.1 million of them. Stacked end-to-end, those phones would stretch from New York to Los Angeles. The replacement batteries came from a completely different supplier but had a completely different manufacturing defect. Samsung managed to find 2 separate ways to make the same phone explode. Their next phone, the Galaxy S8, shipped with ads that literally said, "Safety first." The Note 7 is the only consumer product in history permanently banned from every commercial airline on Earth. Samsung's stock recovered within 6 months. Takata airbags. The largest product recall in history started with a chemical that costs $1 less per unit. Takata used ammonium nitrate as a propellant in their airbag inflators because it was cheaper than the alternatives, the same chemical used in fertilizer bombs. It degrades in heat and humidity, and Takata's own engineers flagged the risk as early as 2004. Nobody listened. When the inflators failed, they didn't just malfunction. They exploded and sprayed metal shrapnel into drivers' faces. The first confirmed death came in 2009, an 18-year-old in Oklahoma. The recall expanded over 12 years, eventually covering 100 million inflators across 19 automakers. A single inflator costs about $100 to manufacture. Replacing 100 million of them cost more than the entire GDP of Iceland. Takata's internal documents show executives debated the risk and concluded the probability of failure was acceptable. 27 confirmed deaths and hundreds of injuries later, Takata filed for bankruptcy in 2017. The recall is still ongoing in 2026. Some cars have been recalled, fixed, and recalled again because the replacement parts also used ammonium nitrate. Takata no longer exists. The recall it caused is still happening. It's the longest-running product recall in automotive history. Toyota unintended acceleration. Starting in 2002, Toyota started accelerating on their own. Drivers would press the brake and nothing would happen. Toyota blamed floor mats. A floor mat costs about $30. Toyota's insistence that floor mats were the problem, rather than admitting a $5 pedal sensor issue, eventually cost them $3.2 billion. In 2009, a California Highway Patrol officer and 3 family members were killed when their loaner Toyota accelerated out of control. He'd brought his own car in for service for an unrelated recall. The 911 call from the back seat was broadcast nationally. Toyota's official position was driver error. They suggested elderly drivers were pressing the wrong pedal. Internal documents later showed their engineers had identified electronic throttle issues years earlier. By 2010, Toyota had recalled more than 10 million vehicles. In 2014, they paid a $1.2 billion DOJ fine to settle criminal fraud charges for systematically lying to regulators. Toyota's corporate slogan during the crisis was "moving forward," which was exactly the problem. The fix for the accelerator pedal was a small metal reinforcement piece that cost less than $5 per vehicle. Toyota paid $1.2 billion to avoid prosecution. Not a single executive faced criminal charges. Every company on this list had a moment where they could have fixed the problem for a fraction of what it eventually cost them. None of them did. Merck Vioxx. In 1999, Merck launched a painkiller called Vioxx. By 2003, it was generating $2.5 billion a year. Merck's own clinical trial showed Vioxx patients had 5 times the rate of heart attacks. Merck published the study, but quietly omitted 3 deaths from the data. Internal emails showed executives strategizing how to discredit doctors who raised safety concerns. A training document included the words neutralize and destroy next to names of critical physicians. A single prescription cost about $3 a day. 20 million Americans took it. The drug generated $11 billion in revenue and destroyed $27 billion in Merck's market value in a single day when the news broke. Merck's 2003 annual report, published while they knew Vioxx was causing heart attacks, highlighted the company's unwavering commitment to patient safety. The trial that exposed the heart attack risk was originally designed to prove Vioxx was easier on the stomach. It succeeded at that, while revealing it was killing people. Merck's internal plan for dealing with critical doctors was codenamed Dodgeball. The strategy was literally to dodge the science. Merck settled for $4.85 billion, about $127,000 per estimated death. The executives who approved the cover-up retired with full pensions. Every product recall has a story behind it. If you want to hear the rest of them, hit subscribe. Thanks. Ford and Firestone tires. In the late 1990s, Firestone tires on Ford Explorers started shredding at highway speed. The tread would separate, the tire would blow, and the Explorer would roll. 271 people died. Ford knew. They'd been quietly replacing the tires in Saudi Arabia and Venezuela for years, but said nothing to American customers. In August of 2000, Firestone recalled 6.5 million tires. Then the blame game started. Ford said bad tires. Firestone said the Explorer's design made it unstable. During congressional hearings, Ford's CEO brought a stack of Firestone's internal documents. Firestone's CEO brought a stack of Ford's. Both proved the other company knew. Henry Ford and Harvey Firestone went camping together in the 1920s. Their families had been business partners for nearly a century. One tire tread ended all of it. Ford replaced 13 million Firestone tires with other brands while continuing to sell Explorers with the same suspension design Firestone blamed for the rollovers. Ford and Firestone's families had been friends for almost 100 years. Neither company has done business with the other since. GM ignition switch. In 2001, GM engineers discovered the ignition switch in the Chevrolet Cobalt could slip from run to accessory if bumped by a knee or a heavy keychain, cutting power steering, power brakes, and airbags mid-drive. Engineer Ray DiGiorgio approved the part despite it failing GM's own specifications. The fix was a stronger detent spring. Cost per unit, 57 cents. Across 30 million vehicles, that's $17 million. GM decided that was too expensive. In 2005, 16-year-old Amber Marie Rose became the first confirmed death. GM issued a service bulletin, but no recall. The next year, DiGiorgio secretly redesigned the switch with a stronger spring, but didn't change the part number, hiding the change. Investigators couldn't figure out why newer cars didn't have the defect. He'd fixed the problem and then covered up the fix. GM claimed they didn't know about the defect until 2014. Internal documents showed engineers, lawyers, and managers had discussed it since 2001. When GM finally recalled the cars, their official advice to owners was to remove all extra items from your keychain. The fix cost 57 cents. The cover-up cost $2.5 billion, 124 lives, and a congressional investigation. Philips CPAP. CPAP machines keep people alive while they sleep by preventing their airways from closing. In June of 2021, Philips recalled 3.5 million of them. The polyurethane foam used for sound dampening was breaking down, releasing black particles and toxic gases directly into users' airways. Patients using these machines 8 hours per night were inhaling degraded foam while they slept. Philips managed to make a device that kept airways open while simultaneously filling them with poison. The foam was a sound abatement feature, literally there to make the machine quieter so patients would sleep better. A single CPAP costs about $800. Philips sold 3.5 million affected units, 2.8 billion in revenue from devices slowly poisoning their users. The FDA received over 116,000 adverse event reports, including 561 deaths. Philips' official guidance was to stop using the device and consult a doctor. For sleep apnea patients, not using the device is also a health risk. Philips told 3.5 million patients to choose between two health risks: the toxic foam or not breathing properly in their sleep. The stock dropped 70% and has never recovered. The pattern never changes. The cover-up always costs more than the fix. Johnson & Johnson talc. Internal J&J documents from the 1970s show the company knew their talc mines contained asbestos. They sold the product for 50 more years. A bottle of Johnson's baby powder costs about $5. J&J sold it for over a century. Thousands of women developed ovarian cancer. Others developed mesothelioma. Juries handed down enormous verdicts: $4.69 billion to 22 women in Missouri, $1.5 billion to a single plaintiff in Baltimore. J&J's response wasn't to settle. It was to create a subsidiary called LTL Management, transfer all cancer liabilities to it, and have that subsidiary declare bankruptcy. The company that created the shell was worth over $350 billion. Courts rejected the maneuver 3 times. J&J pulled talc-based baby powder from the US market in 2020, claiming declining demand. Internal documents showed the real reason was the mounting asbestos evidence. J&J has the resources to pay every plaintiff. They've spent more on legal fees fighting the claims than most settlements would have cost. As of 2026, over 90,000 lawsuits remain pending. Volkswagen Dieselgate. Every recall on this list started with someone deciding the shortcut was worth it. Volkswagen didn't take a shortcut. They built an entire department to engineer one. In 2015, 3 researchers at West Virginia University tested VW diesel cars on real roads for a small nonprofit. Emissions were 15 to 40 times above legal limits during normal driving, but passed perfectly in lab tests. VW denied it, called it a technical glitch, then admitted they'd installed defeat device software in 11 million vehicles worldwide. The software detected steering wheel position, vehicle speed, engine duration, and barometric pressure to determine if the car was being tested. They put more engineering into cheating than it would have cost to pass legitimately. A standard emission system runs about $300 per vehicle. Across 11 million cars, VW saved roughly $3 billion. It cost them $33 billion, an 11-to-1 return on fraud. VW's marketing campaign was called Clean Diesel. Their tagline was, "Isn't it time for German engineering?" The engineering was working perfectly. It was engineered to cheat. 3 researchers with a portable emissions kit exposed the fraud that 11 million cars, thousands of engineers, and every regulatory agency in the world had missed. VW paid $33 billion. The researchers got a $50,000 grant. Every entry on this list started with someone deciding the shortcut was cheaper than doing it right. If you want to see more corporate disasters like these, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.